Hey everyone, thank you again for joining us for the Living Life Naturally podcast. So today our special guest is Patti Smith. So those who have worked with Patti think of her as a practical mystic who is, as one client said, a modern mix of cosmic brilliance and practical businesswoman. So her 30 years in human resources, coupled with 5 decades of life coaching, give her the perfect blend of skills to support her clients' clarity. So she's a passionate champion for women entrepreneurs, especially creatives, who know that the old male paradigm of business just doesn't cut it for those who work from their hearts and souls. So integrating practical business systems and strategies with intuitive guidance, Patti's programs and private coaching give her clients the deep understanding and tools they need in order to eliminate the limiting beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors they have that they've been conditioned with since childhood. And it frees them to design and run conscious businesses that create wealth and impact today and leave a legacy for tomorrow. So Patti is also a #1 Amazon best-selling author, and sought-after speaker. And she has appeared on television, internet, radio, as well as speaking from the stage and running her own live events and retreats. So although it took Patti longer than most, she finally found the love of her life in her husband, Paul, and she shares a home with him and their great Jack Russell Terrier Sheba in Barrie, Ontario, Canada. So when she's not working with her clients, she's solving crosswords, devouring mystery novels, and giving thanks for all the blessings that she enjoys. So welcome today, Patti. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Lynn. I'm delighted to be here with you.
So we've had a few technical difficulties today, but that is not unusual, and we are going gangbusters ahead. So how are things for you in Barrie? Is the weather nice there?
It's been variable. I like to say, living in sort of South Central Ontario, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. We've gone from 24 degrees and sunny and sitting out on the deck to dismantling the gazebo because it was a tornado watch.
Oh my gosh.
All in the same day.
Oh my gosh.
So it's variable, yes, but it's sunny today. It's a beautiful fall day. The colors are amazing. And I'm just delighted to be here with you and your listeners.
Thanks. So I really miss that. We don't have full seasons here in Florida, although suddenly we'll get leaves falling off the trees and then it becomes a mess, but we don't get those brilliant colors like we used to get at home. So I miss that. I miss the 4 seasons, but it makes up for it here in so many other ways. So I know that you do something with mindset, and you also have a word that intrigued me when we talked prior to this about you being your dream genie.
Yes.
So
yes.
Tell me a little about that.
Well, it's interesting because I have actually been, apart from my corporate life, I've been coaching since I was 13 years old, so 5 decades. And over the course of that time, much of it has been life coaching. Some of it, of course, has been business coaching. But the thing that is most important is mindset, no matter what you're doing. And I became somewhat disconnected from my previous business name. So Your Dream Genie is the rebranding of my previous business name. And when it came to me very clearly in a meditation, I realized that it was perfect because no matter what I was doing with my clients, the outcome was that they were fulfilling a dream. And so I thought, well, this is perfect because now I can take all of this massive bunch of stuff that I know how to do and put it under one umbrella and say, it's your dream genie. I am your dream genie. So it's coaching, it is dream facilitation work. There is a rich, rich treasure trove that people have access to in their dreams. They just don't know how to access it or interpret it for themselves. And so I love doing that work. And in fact, for a previous business that I had, I once got the entire branding strategy in a dream. Everything from
Wow.
the colors to the layout to, the whole thing, basically. And I remember waking up, and at first I wasn't sure what this dream was all about. And then it suddenly hit me. Oh, yeah, those are your colors. That's telling you how to set this up. There was a waiting room full of people in the dream. I
Wow.
thought, this is cool. This is telling me, people are waiting for this. So one of the things that I use a lot for myself and in service of my clients is intuition and understanding these messages that come to us, which is why practical mystic seems to be a good way to describe me, because there is so much information available to us. We just don't connect to it most of the time.
Yeah, I can understand that. So for many of us, when we have our own dreams, sometimes you wake up, you dream something that might have been significant, but you can't even remember it. So is there
Yes,
is there a way to pull out those memories of a dream?
yes, and it's a process. I've also had people say to me, "Oh, I don't dream." Yes, you
Mm.
do. You just don't have a conscious remembrance of it. We all dream. And some people are stuck on this limiting belief that dreams are just nighttime fantasies. It's the brain doing a dump overnight so that they can do more stuff the next day. There is an element of that, but the way to really start connecting with your dreams and harvesting that rich treasure trove is to set an intention before you go to sleep that you are going to remember as much as possible of your dream when you first wake up. And I say to people, keep a pad of paper or your smartphone or whatever handy. And when you wake up, don't open your eyes. Just grab the phone or the piece of paper and make bullet points. Who were you with? Where were you? What was going on? What did you see, smell, taste, colors? Just bullet point it. I think the problem is people think they have to do a whole narrative and then figure out, and in the process of doing that, they lose the ethereal dream. So if you set that intention, I will have access to this information from my conscious mind, and you bullet point it first and then expand on it. You can also go back into a dream, and that takes a little bit of practice.
Mm.
But I have had experiences where my sleep was interrupted. I was in a dream. I knew there was something important that I needed to get from that dream. And so once the interruption was gone, I am able to put myself back into a state where I can reconnect so the dream can finish and I can get the message.
Mm.
So there are different things that people can do to start practicing retaining more in their conscious mind when they wake up. But the most important thing is when you start doing this, you're telling your subconscious that you're valuing what it has to share with you. And so it will be more forthcoming.
Mm. Mm.
Where we put our attention and focus is where things happen. So if your subconscious has been throwing you these messages all your life and you've never been paying attention, the fact that now you are setting an intention and preparing yourself to receive that information means it's much more likely that you will get more detail. You will be able to remember the dream longer. And my one caution to people is don't beat yourself up if it doesn't work the first night, because it's a skill. The more you do it, the more consistently you do it, the better your results are going to be.
Mm. So what about people? So, sometimes I go to sleep at night and I have kind of nightmare dreams. Are they
Yes,
significant of something?
they can be, because very often what we are afraid of has a message for us, something that we need to look at in our lives and either fix or look at from a different perspective. So I actually I had a woman text me. She said, I had a dream that an alligator was chasing me. What does it mean? And I said, well, that depends. First of all, how were you feeling in the dream? Were you afraid? Were you curious? Were you laughing? What a ridiculous thing. An alligator is chasing me. Were you looking at it and saying, there's my purse and shoes? So we have different reactions to things. Nightmares often are reminding us that there's something we haven't dealt with yet, or something that we're fearing in an anticipatory way. We think something awful is going to come. And it's your subconscious mind's way of trying to show you that you don't need to be afraid of it. You need to get curious about it. And so again, a colleague of mine, we were speaking yesterday, and she said she's been having these nightmares about snakes.
Mm.
And she had a very traumatic experience with snakes when she was about 6 years old. And we carry those things in our bodies
Right.
at the cellular level. And so I said, first of all, I can help you get rid of that fear. But as far as the dream about snakes, I said, serpents are one of those things from a symbolic standpoint that either can be looked at as evil and threatening, or can be symbols of growth, metamorphosis. A snake sheds its skin as it grows. And so what are you being asked to let go of that you're afraid to let go of? So in the course of talking to her about this, she made the comment about 5 minutes into the conversation. She said, I actually don't feel as concerned about the snakes anymore. And I, great. We hadn't even done any EFT or tapping on it, But this is the thing. If you get curious, why am I seeing this? What's the message? And I said to her, if you dream about the snake again, ask it, why are you here? What are you trying to tell me? Because these things come in different ways. We have our own dream language. And as a facilitator, that's what I'm helping people understand is, what is your dream trying to tell you? Because you're the one that has the dictionary. You just don't know it.
Mm.
And the other thing to remember is we're visual creatures first. So everything that we are dreaming is potentially a symbol of something that we as infants did not have language for yet. Everything is pictures when we're first born.
Mm. Mm.
We don't have language ability, most of us, until first, second year, possibly later. So these images that we take in as infants become part of our dream mythology. And we then have to figure out as adults, why did I pick that image? What am I trying to share with myself?
Mm. And some people, so this absolutely blew me away when my husband told me this. He tells me he dreams in black and white, and he had no clue that people dreamt in color.
Yes, I've seen various statistics over the years, but my understanding is that those of us who dream in color are about 25% of the population, depending on when the study is done. But yes, I found it strange too, when I encountered people and I was talking about colors and dreams, and they're looking at me like, I don't have color in my dreams. For you. But yes, many, many people dream in black and white. And so it's interesting to me when I work with someone who does only dream in black and white, and as they start working with their dreams, to see that color begins to come into them.
Oh.
Not a lot to begin with sometimes, but as they start opening up to what their subconscious is wanting to share with them. And remember too, that when we are sleeping, this conscious mind of ours that can only hold one thought at a time is shut down and out of the way. So we have access to generational DNA and memory. We're picking up the vibrations of everyone and everything in a 35,000-mile radius. The Earth has a 45,000-mile radius. So as a colleague of mine says, who aren't we getting? The penguins and the polar bears? So for good or evil, in terms of, is it a negative thought or a positive thought, we are open to all of this and the information that's out there to come through in our dreams. And so you can go to bed with a specific problem that you want an answer to and say, okay, subconscious, while I'm sleeping peacefully and uninterrupted through the night, your job is to get me the answer to this and make it available to my conscious mind when I wake up. Because how many times have we had a solution in a dream? We get into that lucid dreaming state where we know we're dreaming, we know we've just hit the perfect solution, and when we wake up, it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah. Yeah. That would even be like in my waking hours when I'm, say, even with these podcasts, and I come up with a name or a title, and I'm thinking, oh, that's really good. And then the next thing I know, because I may think about it before I'm going to sleep, and then next thing I know, I've forgotten what it was.
Yes, that used to happen to me all the time, Lynn. And so I will share with you, I have this big pink book called Ridiculously Good Ideas that I keep handy all the time. And as soon as something comes through like that, I just discreetly open the book and write it down.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can go back and expand on it later if it really does look like a good idea.
So do our dreams correlate in any way to our mindset?
They can act in some ways as a mirror about what you need to be looking at. And by that I mean, I'll go back to my colleague with the snakes. There can be a correlation between what you see, particularly in a nightmare, and something that you need to change your perspective on in your waking life. Mindset, I used to say when I was teaching financial literacy, that there are three key aspects to success: timing, choice, and mindset. And that mindset is the driver of everything. And our mindset comes from everything that we hear and experience up to about age 7. All of that goes into our limbic brain, the reptilian brain that wants to keep us safe. So when a parent says to a child, don't touch that pot on the stove because it's hot, there's a reason that we're being told that. It really is not a good idea to do that. But there's a lot of other things that go in, and because we have no filter until we're about 6 or 7, what happens is we believe 100% what we're told, even if we later on discover that it's not true. But that programming, and I'm going to date myself here, it's like an old DOS program running in the background. If you don't know that's there, and this extends to everything, it extends to what you think about and how you feel about and use money, what you think about your role at work, at home, in a relationship, in your family dynamic. All of these things are part of your mindset. And so much of it was installed in you without your permission, without your knowledge. And some of it can be extremely counterproductive. And I actually have coined a technical term for it. I call it crap. That is counterproductive, restricting anti-abundance programming. So there's a lot of crap that we are all walking around with that leads sometimes to self-sabotage, to procrastination, to all kinds of things that are not in our best interests, whether it's in our personal life or in our professional life. So mindset is something that you need to look to first when things are not going smoothly in a particular area of your life. You need to look at it and say, well, what do I believe to be true about this? And is it true? And one of my favorite questions to ask when things crop up like this is this mine?
Mm.
Maybe, maybe not. Whose voice are you hearing in your head when you're having this thought that you think is yours? So I'll give you an example again from the money thing. Little girls grow up adoring their daddies. They want to marry them and they hang on their every word. So dad says to his daughter one day, "Oh, you're so, so beautiful. I just love you so much." Daughter's very happy. A couple of days later, she hears mom and dad behind doors arguing about money, and voices are rising. There could be some crying that she hears, maybe things being thrown around, doors slammed. And she hears daddy saying to mommy, you're going to ruin us. You are terrible with money. We're just, this family is going to fall apart. She's not even really aware that she's taking all of this in. And then a couple of days later, daddy looks at her again and says, "I love you so much, sweetheart. You're so much like your mom."
Oh.
And in her mind, those two things come together. Oh, mommy's going to ruin the family. Mommy can't handle money. I'm just like mommy. So I am going to ruin the family and I can't handle money. None of this is happening on the conscious level, but this is now a part of her mindset. And it will inform all of her choices and behaviors and attitudes about money and her ability to be good with it or not, and how money will impact her family. That's a hugely powerful thing.
Yes.
And nobody was aware of it. Father didn't intend for that to be installed in his daughter's mind, but this is what happens. So until you understand how your mind works, and that not everything that's in there driving your beliefs, behaviors, attitudes, etc., is actually yours, it can be very troubling for people. This is why they struggle so much with things. Money is just one. But I find it happens so much of the time that the first thing I really want to do when I'm working with a new client is find out what was going on when you were young. What's the earliest memory that you have? And then we also talk about their human design, because we all have a unique design. And unlike when we go and buy a new car and you get the owner's manual, or you go and buy a new fridge and there's an owner's manual, or now your phone comes with an 8,700 page owner's manual online, nobody comes to us and says, "Here, Lynn, this is how you do you." But that's what human design does. So when we start from the perspective of who is this person, what is their type, what is their strategy, what is their inner authority, because we've all been conditioned to look outside. The authority's out there somewhere, and approval. No, your authority is inside, but you've been taught not to listen to it. So this is the kind of mindset work that we do at the beginning of working together, so that we can find out those stuck points and either eliminate whatever the old limiting belief is that isn't correct and install a new one. And then we need to keep practicing that new one, because the whole thing with neuroscience, we now know we can create new neural pathways, but you can't just do it once and expect it to stick.
Right. Right.
So it's fascinating work. I love supporting my clients doing this, because it truly is a journey of self-discovery and then self-recreation in the way that you want yourself to be.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I mean, we hear so much about mindset, and we think about it on not really a very, I don't know how to put it, but on a lower level, that, oh, if I do a few affirmations, this is going to help me. But there can be some very deep work that we don't realize how scarred we are on the inside, and how much work there is that goes along with that mindset.
Oh, yes. And it is surprising sometimes, not to me, but to my clients, We'll be talking about something that is, I'm thinking of one client in particular. There was an issue that she was having around receiving money in the business that she had started. She was doing everything right, things were going well, but the money wasn't flowing the way that she wanted to. And in the course of our conversation, and this is pre-COVID, so we were actually sitting face to face, this whole change in her expression happened. And she went back to a memory when she was a child. And we discovered that was the origin of her issue around receiving money. And so I immediately went into, let's clear this out, and got rid of it, and then started giving her the new programming to put in place to support now a free flow of money coming into her in her business. And it worked within like 24 hours. She emailed me and said, oh, I just got this payment in from this person. And she felt completely differently about asking for the money.
Wow. So now what techniques do you use? Do you use the EFT for that?
I use EFT. I use new decision therapy, which is a great technique. I do access consciousness, access the bars. I used to do it hands-on pre-COVID. However, I have discovered that it can still be quite effective doing it on Zoom. And I think of myself as sort of I don't want to say a mental detective, but I have this ability. It's almost like archaeology. You go down through the levels. If you know the right questions to ask, and you know how to listen for the cues that will lead you to where you need to go, then it can be a gentle process. Sometimes there are tears, yes. But the thing to remember with tears is when you're crying, you're washing your soul. You're getting rid of this stuff. And in Access Consciousness, for Access the Bars, there's a clearing statement. And so I will take the person through everything that we need to do to clear whatever that was out. And then we start talking about what is it you're replacing it with. I do a lot of work with people having their hands on different chakras. Often the heart chakra is involved when we're doing this kind of healing work first. But there can be other things. I have people create ritual and ceremony. If there's something that needs to be honored before it's released, I will say to the person, how do you wish to create ceremony around this? Because one of the things we've lost in this modern world is ritual and ceremony. We used to mark milestones, positive or negative.
Right.
There's a reason we have marriages and funerals and baptisms and walkabouts and all of these different things that marked those important times in our lives. And we've lost touch with that for the most part. So helping someone to create either a ritual of release or a ceremony to celebrate a success is something that, again, from a generational DNA perspective, people kind of have a remembrance that people used to do that stuff. But it's reminding them to do it in their lives now. And often when I'm talking to someone who is in my business coaching program, and they're talking about a milestone that they've met or exceeded, and they just kind of gloss over it and keep talking, and I say, excuse me, wait a minute. Did you celebrate that win? No. Well, why not? The whole point is, when we're trying to change and grow, is that we want to recognize and acknowledge the change and the growth. So we need celebration ceremonies too. And it might be something as quick and easy as I'm patting myself on the back because I just rocked it. Or it might be something more elaborate. But this is the thing that I find with so many people is we've been taught to live in our brains, and we have completely lost touch with our bodies and the innate wisdom that is there for us, and taking the time, even if it's 60 seconds, to honor and acknowledge what we have accomplished, to celebrate the wins, and then to move on, and to use ritual to release. You know, we have all these feelings. People tell us, oh, feelings are important, but they don't tell you how to feel and unpack those feelings. And what
See,
do you
in England, we were told that feelings weren't good things. Stuff them down and ignore them.
stiff upper lip?
Yeah.
Yes. I blame the Spartans. You know, you can't have emotion. It's not even that you can't show emotion. You can't have emotions.
Right.
And that's a whole other conversation about, you know, gender lineages of behavioral patterns. But I think the thing that's probably of most interest to your listeners is the fact that you are the author of your life story. And if the mindset that you've been operating with is delivering a story that you are not enjoying, guess what?
You can
You get
change it.
you get to call time and do a rewrite and choose what it is that you wish to be experiencing. Nobody ever teaches us that we can do that. And it's very powerful. It's very liberating when you suddenly realize, hey, I have a choice. And then we make the decision to claim that life. And that's where people can get into using affirmations that have the power of their choice and their decision behind them, not just empty parroting of something they read in a book somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Your affirmations have to feel true for you, both on the conscious level and the subconscious level. And if your mindset programming says that's a load of bollocks, tip of the hat to England, horse hockey, whatever you want to call it, you're not going to get the benefit. You cannot have this smash up of subconscious in a big fight with your conscious mind. Nothing is going to change. You're just going to feel terribly upset, frustrated. So you have to look at what is the mindset underlying everything that you say and do, the choices that you make, the decisions that you make. And if they're not serving your highest good, if they're not creating a life that you are just in love with beyond your ability to describe, then stop it. Get some help from someone who can help you identify what part or parts of your mindset are creating this dichotomy, creating this fight going on between what you claim that you want to experience in your life and your ability to actually manifest it.
So thinking about that, you have a free gift for our listeners about shifting your mindset. So
I do.
Yes.
I do. And if I may, I'm going to share the actual name of the session. You and I talked about this before. I was having a conversation with a colleague, and we were talking about the critical importance of mindset and how we have to shift our thinking. And I went to say mind shift and misspoke and said mind shit. And I went, oops, and wondered to myself, well, wait a minute, where did the F go? And what is the F? Well, the F is the freedom that we get when we get rid of the mind shit. So I am offering everyone who is listening to this, either live with you when it airs or in replay, you are welcome to contact me for a 30-minute, no cost, shift your mind shit breakthrough call. And Lynn, I know you've got the link for that.
Yes.
And it's amazing how quickly we can identify at least one thing that is tripping you up and get it cleared out.
Yeah, I will put all of the links in the show notes for people where they can find you and how they can connect with you. So
yes.
from my perspective, this has been just a very interesting different type of podcast, you know, when you think about dreaming and then you look at mindset in a different way. Very fascinating. And so
Thank you.
Thanks. I would encourage people to connect with you and have that discovery call with you to see how they can be helped. All of us have a lot of stuff that we need to clear out the way.
Oh, and our baggage comes in every shape and size, from garbage bags to Louis Vuitton, and it all needs to go.
So I really thank you, Patti. It's been very encouraging and inspiring to look at this from a different perspective. I appreciate you being here.
Lynn. I appreciate the opportunity, and it's lovely as always to chat with you.
Thanks, and you too. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.